A cone shell, in reality, is a sea snail. And when people think of sea snail, they think of something totally harmless, but in reality, it's something far more sinister and deadly, and the cone shell tried its very best to kill me. I am no stranger to Australian venomous wildlife, having been stung by a vast array of land-based and aquatic venomous creatures. I learned pretty early on that I was allergic to bees. The average person gets 2 bee stings in their life. Somehow I've had 7 and been hospitalized each time. I've been bitten by 2 white-tipped spiders that have a flesh-eating venom. I've had a couple of jellyfish stings. I accidentally jumped onto a stingray and the barb went right in between the webbing of my fingers halfway through my hand. And I've also been bitten by a brown tree snake, which only has a mild venom, so that one wasn't so bad. But none of these venomous bites and stings can hold a candle to the time that I stepped on a cone shell. I was 25 at the time and I was captain of the SV Tongara in the Whitsundays. I was about 3 steps into ankle deep water when I felt a really sharp pinch in between my 4th and 5th toe. But as soon as I got back to the boat, I started to feel really nauseous and ended up having to be sick off the back of the boat. About a minute after I was sick was when the pain kicked in from the cone shell venom. I could feel it working its way up my body and I ended up just convulsing on the back deck of the boat. It was honestly the most intense pressure, pain, burning that I could ever describe to anyone. A neighbouring vessel heard the commotion and came over to see what was wrong, and when he had a look at me, he realised that my doomsday clock was pretty close to midnight. So he realised at that point that it was absolutely essential that he put out an emergency SOS over the CV radio. It went from Tongue Bay to Hook Passage and then back to the Whitsunday mainland, where my boss was then in touch, able to call the CQ rescue helicopter to come and save me. I was all but defeated when the CQ rescue helicopter landed. I was barely clinging on to life. They managed to put 3 anesthetics into different nerves in my ankle to completely block off all pain receptors, and then they put a massive morphine drip in my arm. Doctors were absolutely baffled as how I was still alive, why I'd been stung by a cone shell and hadn't gone into cardiac arrest or respiratory failure. And then they looked at my chart and they saw all of the bee stings, the stingrays, the jellyfish, the spider bites, the snake bite. The conclusion that the doctors came to is that I was so full of antibodies that that was the only way that my system was able to combat the venom of the cone shell. So what I thought all along was really bad luck, or the bites and stings, actually ended up being the very thing that actually saved my life. I still love the ocean and I still love wildlife. I don't think anything could deter me from those 2 things, which are my passions. Just these days, I'm a little bit more careful about where I step.